What's up, everybody, and welcome into another exciting episode of That Dynasty Show. Today, we're going to be doing a little keep trade cut, and it'll be the last keep trade cut before the official kickoff of the 2022 NFL season. And actually, the last video that we'll be making that's technically not in season, because after this one, we're going to be releasing our week one starts and sits. So, if you need help setting that lineup later on this week, tune in for sure. But before we get into our KTC video, our keep trade cut, Tyler, how we doing today, buddy?
I'm great. It was a good day to watch some college football yesterday and just today actually as well. I guess when this gets released, it'll be yesterday. But yeah, fun to watch some of those guys, and I can't believe we're gonna start our in-season content. I'm pretty excited for it. Our first go around at it, and yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun going forward.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait. It's that time of year again. I officially just set, we're still about 4 days away from actually seeing the kickoff to week one. But I've tentatively set all of my lineups across eight out of nine of my leagues, I should say, because my ninth one's a redraft that is drafting on Monday night. So, just got to finish that one up. But yeah, dude, it's absolutely insane. I've already been switching out my flex position like every 20 minutes. I'm looking at it. I'm like, this matchup, that matchup. It's going to be a headache, but it's the best kind of headache to have. And really looking forward to running those videos, especially the start sits with you. But for the purpose of this one, we're doing our keep trade cut. So if you'll remember, we did this one about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We did the first version of this. And what's going to happen is I'm going to ask Tyler some questions. Tyler's going to ask me some questions. And we're going to be choosing 3 players and which one we're going to keep, which one we're going to trade, and which one we would cut. So Tyler, I know you got a handful for me, so I'll let you go first.
Oh, cool. It hasn't been my turn first in a while. And so this time I'm going to throw some names at you, and Keep Trade Cut generated a couple good ones for us here. So how's Debo Samuel, T. Higgins, and Brees Hall? And these are all super flex, half-point PPR 12 team.
Superflex, Debo, T, and Brees. Well, I think I'm going to keep T. Higgins. I know I'm going to keep T. Higgins over both of those guys. Famously, T. Higgins is my wide receiver 3 in Dynasty, so not touching that. I would probably sell Brees and cut Debo. I mean, it's kind of a toss-up because I think you'd get a pretty similar return between Brees and Debo at this point. I just I don't know. That's definitely a toss-up, but I feel like you might be able to get slightly more for Debo just because we've seen him do it. He was kind of the diamond in the rough last year in San Francisco. Was like a top 5 option for everybody, and there's a lot of hype moving into him for the season. And Brees Hall really hasn't dazzled very much in the preseason, so I think that his stock might be slightly down right now. So that's what we're going to go with. We're going to keep T. We're going to trade Debo, and we are going to cut Brees Hall.
So I think I'm with you a little bit. I mean, I'm with you on the keep. I still think that Brees Hall owners aren't letting him go for less than 2 first-round picks. Worth of value at least. I mean, Debo had that season with a lot of carries on him that might have put some wear and tear on his body. We don't think he's going to be quite as involved in that offense, and I don't know if you're getting much for him. So I think Brees Hall is still my trade candidate, and Debo's my cut. I think Brees Hall owners are set on holding him and seeing how this one pans out, unless they're getting a more than fair value.
See, but that's the thing. I think it's just kind of a wait and see approach with Brees Hall. But I think both of them are going to give you a similar return, right? Like you're not getting either one of them for a random 2023 first. I think either one of them would yield you, if we're just talking draft picks, it would be at least 2 first next year, right? So I think very similar returns. That's kind of just a coin toss for me. I totally see where you're coming from, especially since Brees Hall is a bit younger and is that running back position, the recent 101. So I guess it just depends on the league that you're in, on who you think you can get better value. But that's such a toss-up for me. It really is. But I'm going to ask you one here, and I'm interested to see what you have to say. So I'm glad I didn't include Brees Hall in this one because I almost did somewhere. Just don't want to talk about him back to back. But keep trade cut, James Cook, Kenny Walker, and Dameon Pierce.
Ooh. I'm gonna I'm probably gonna keep. That's really tough. Because to me, I think by the eye test, what I saw out of college, Kenny Walker is the best running back out of those three. But I mean, the other two have kind of seen an increase in value over the recent couple months. So I think I'm going to keep Kenny Walker because I think his value is going to increase down the road as, Rashad Penny probably gets hurt or moves on after this year. And when Seattle improves at quarterback. Probably going to trade, I don't know, I guess Dameon Pierce, and then cut James Cook. I think Dameon Pierce has the more clear path to targets and will be easier to trade than James Cook. So I think keeping Kenny Walker, trading Dameon Pierce, and cutting James Cook.
I definitely agree with you on trading Dameon Pierce. I'm out of all three of those guys, I currently have Dameon Pierce the highest, right? In my rankings. He's been completely rising up. He's got no competition in Houston. Really, Houston has no one outside of Brandon Cooks just on the offense in general. So I'd imagine Dameon Pierce is going to see a pretty big workload. But he is so hyped up right now. People have got Dameon Pierce in Superflex leagues in like the last few picks of their second round, right? And now people are flipping him for a 2023 first. And that's just the floor of his value in the trade market right now. Like I've seen him go for 23 first plus over the last couple of weeks, especially since Marlon Mack got released. So I like the call on trading Dameon Pierce, but I am going to go opposite on the keep and the cut. I'm going to keep James Cook and I'm going to cut Kenny Walker. They're back to back in my rankings. James Cook is my RB26. Kenny Walker is my RB27 for Dynasty. But it's one, I'm a really big believer in James Cook and not so much of a believer in Devin Singletary. Whereas in Seattle, I've started coming around to Rashad Penny, and if he can stay healthy, he really doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires, right? Because he really hasn't played the first few seasons of his NFL career. I think that if Penny can replicate or even replicate 70% of what he did at the end of the 2021 season, there's no way Seattle lets him go, right? Like him and Kenny Walker could be kind of a nightmare tandem for the next couple of years if all things goes well. Where in Buffalo, I think James Cook is going to kind of prove it a bit more. And I don't know if they're going to extend Devin Singletary after this year because I just really don't see a need for them to do it. So I like the opportunity and the PPR upside with James Cook. So keep James Cook, trade Dameon Pierce, and then I'll get rid of Kenny Walker.
Yeah, and if you can get a first-round pick for Dameon Pierce, accept that in a heartbeat, please. Take that before they change their mind. I don't know. It was fun watching those guys this weekend. I don't want. My 2023 rookie picks have increased in value after week one of the 2022-2023 season this year. So next up for you, this is a good one. Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Devontae Adams.
Whoa. Okay, that is a pretty good one.
They kind of all have like similar shelf lives, really.
They do. See, I have Mixon and Cook back to back in my rankings. I have Mixon as my 7, Cook as my 8, and then Devontae Adams is my wide receiver 7. So they're all pretty damn close in terms of positional value. I would say, damn, I feel like I would trade Dalvin Cook. I don't know. It's tough because I feel like I haven't seen many people going out of their way to buy Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, or Devontae Adams recently. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna go with the guy that's had a top 5 finish at his position before. I mean, obviously Devontae Adams has as well, but I'm gonna trade Dalvin Cook because I think there is. I think I can maximize the potential return there, especially with the rumors circulating that Alexander Mattison could be traded. Dalvin Cook's value, even though that shouldn't theoretically affect Dalvin Cook's value because Mattison doesn't see the field when Cook's healthy anyway. If they did trade Mattison, Dalvin Cook would definitely increase his value on the trade market a bit, just through that transaction. So I'm going to trade Dalvin Cook, and then I'll probably keep Joe Mixon. He's 25 or just turned 26 recently, I think. So, and he's in a fantastic offense in Cincinnati. So I'm gonna keep Joe Mixon just because of the scarcity at the running back position. And then as much as I wouldn't want to cut Devontae Adams, obviously no one wants to have to cut Devontae Adams. But I think I'll get more worth out of Mixon. I think I'll get more offers in the trade market on Dalvin Cook. So unfortunately, Adams is the odd man out there.
Yeah, and I feel like I agree with everything you just said. I'm with you on Joe Mixon being the keep guy. But again, I feel like Devontae is probably still going to finish pretty high this year. He's still going to be a top 10 receiver, and he's still going to be really dominant this year. And if he plays all 17 games, it's going to be hard not to get a lot of value out of him, right? No matter what situation you're in, he could be a game changer for your team if all things pan out. And Dalvin Cook, we kind of just assume that he's probably going to. Sorry, excuse me. He's probably going to miss a couple games this year. And Joe Mixon is the guy who he's got an improved offense, right? I mean, they just bolstered up the offensive line. PFF has them vastly improving. Yeah, he's just I think he's in the best offense overall over there in Cincinnati. And I feel like I might be able to get a little bit more out of Devontae Adams. Devin Cook's probably going to be down at some point this year. And I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're right, if I'm getting more offers on Dalvin Cook, then obviously that's where I'm going. But
Yeah, you're giving me some tough ones here because there's I mean the other one you knew I was going to keep T Higgins. But in this one, I mean, I view all three of these guys in a very similar light. If I'm in my startup draft, I'm probably taking them probably within the same 4 or 5 picks of each other, right? So it's tough, but I think we both agree on keeping Mixon, and then I guess just dangle Adams and Dalvin Cook out on your trade block and see who makes an offer first, right? Like that's a tough one. But I got one for you, and it's gross. It's so gross, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts on it. Keep trade cut, quarterback edition. Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields.
Keep Mac Jones. Trade Justin Fields, cut Zach Wilson. I think you can still get more on the trade market for Justin Fields, definitely. I don't think any of the three have really much of a potential to be a high-end quarterback one. I mean, maybe Justin Fields one day if that offense really improves, or if he, changes locations or something like that. But it's a while out before that's going to happen, in my eyes at least. But yeah, I think Mac Jones is one who's already proven that he can be a low-end quarterback one, high-end quarterback two. So I'm gonna keep him on the squad, and I mean, I'm just not a Zach Wilson guy at all. I love Justin Fields in college. I believe in him as a quarterback, but I mean that situation is just so terrible for him. They're so far away from being an elite offense that it's tough to keep him on any of my teams. But yeah, that's just where I'm at on that one.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. I'm trading Justin Fields. I'm keeping Mac, and I'm getting rid of Zach Wilson. Like you, I'm not a Zach Wilson fan. I love the offense that they're surrounding him with, but I just really don't believe in him as a prospect. He was arguably my least favorite quarterback in that class, out of the first round guys, I should say, because I'm still taking Zach Wilson over Davis Mills. Let's be real here. But yeah, Zach Wilson's going to be my cut candidate. Justin Fields, dude, to your point, you can still get a pretty decent return for him on the trade market. Even though Mac Jones actually performed last year, you're not going to be able to get as much for him as you would for Fields. And here's the thing with Justin Fields, if things don't click in Chicago in the next couple of years, I mean, he could find himself out of a job, right? Like if he doesn't do anything worthwhile in Chicago for the first 3 or 4 years of his career, he's going to have to bank on getting a second chance somewhere else. And those second chances really just don't get given out, right? Like Sam Darnold was very fortunate that the Panthers were in a terrible pickle. That's the only reason why Darnold got a second chance at redemption. And then, I mean, I wouldn't put Baker Mayfield in that category because we've actually seen, good seasons out of him. But yeah, I don't know. So Justin Fields, he's a risk reward option. To your point, I think he has the highest ceiling, but he also has a very low floor just because he's in Chicago. And then Mac Jones is the future for the Patriots. The Patriots don't need this studly quarterback to be, Tom Brady reincarnated. They just need a quarterback that's going to go out there and do his job. That's how Bill Belichick likes his guys to be. And that's what Mac Jones is. So It's not a sexy pick, but if I'm in a super flex league and I can have Mac as my QB2 for the foreseeable future, I'll hold on to him without any issues.
Yeah, that was kind of close, but I mean, I feel like Mac's definitely the safest one out of those three, and he's definitely the one that I want to keep on my squad. If I'm getting any offer for Justin Fields, that's worthwhile. That's going to make a difference on my roster. Then I'm going to take it really because he's going to struggle to find himself in a good spot, and I wish that him and Zach Wilson were in opposite places. You know.
Yeah, no, I do too. But like that's the thing. Like looking at that list, Mac Jones is the only guy that I can confidently say will still have a starting job this time in 3 years. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't be able in good confidence to guarantee Wilson or Fields will be a starter in the league in 3 years.
Yeah, and a weekly starter for your fantasy team too. You know. So.
Exactly.
All right, so this next one is actually pretty good. Two guys on the same team here. So David Montgomery, Sky Moore, or Juju Smith-Schuster.
Okay. That's a good one. Believe it or not, I'm actually going to keep David Montgomery. He's so disrespected. It's so stupid. Like, I get it. He's not an amazing running back, but the Bears are absolute garbage, and they have been for the last few years. And David Montgomery just gets every single carry. He started getting targets out of the backfield. Justin Fields is just going to be in constant duress and is going to need to dump it off between Cole Kmet and, David Montgomery. I don't know why I blanked on his name for a second there, but Monty is just, he's kind of like, you know how everybody is fading Najee Harris because suddenly it's the cool thing to do because they're like, oh, it's just opportunity. He's not efficient. David Montgomery is like poor man's Najee Harris, right? Like he's less efficient than Najee Harris, but he's getting, I don't want to say he's going to see 400, opportunities like Najee Harris, but Montgomery might not be far off because he just owns that backfield. And that's a simple fact. So we'll see what happens. I mean, the new coaching staff could be feeling differently, but I have faith that Monty can still be an every week RB2, not a sexy RB2, but he'll get the job done for me in that spot. I'd probably trade Sky Moore and I'd cut Juju because I think that there's just I know you're really high on Juju, so I'm sure you'll have something to say about this one. But I really think that you can get more in a trade for Sky Moore than you would for Juju because there's the prospect of he was an exciting player in college to watch. He's the shiny new toy. He is the youngest guy. He's got all this opportunity to grow with Pat Mahomes, yada, yada, yada. Where Juju, it's like, okay, well, we haven't really seen any legitimate stuff from him over the last couple of years. And even though he probably will be the wide receiver one in the offense this year, there are a ton of people that I think believe in Sky more than Juju. So I regard them pretty close. I would say Juju for now, Sky Moore for later, if I had to choose one. But for that reason, I think you can just get a little bit more for Sky Moore in a trade. So cut Juju, trade Sky Moore, and we'll keep Monty.
So I really do agree with everything you said on Monty. He is the one who's like you said, poor man's Najee, right? He could very well see 350, 375 touches this year. And I think that for that reason, he's going to be my trade candidate. I think he's going to have a monster year. I've drafted him in a lot of spots this year. I drafted him in every one of our mock drafts, right? But I'm going to actually keep Juju because I think that, I mean, he had a wide receiver 2 season in the Pittsburgh offense last time he was healthy. So I have said it all off season. I think he could have a wide receiver 1 season this year, and it wouldn't really surprise me at all. So I'm going to keep Juju, trade Monty, and I mean, I don't know. I don't see it with Sky Moore. I know a lot of people are high on him, but I think the only reason people are really high on him is because of where he was drafted. And I think you've got to be good first. And Juju's already shown us he's good. He's young. I think when he proves himself this year that he's going to be a piece that Kansas City wants to hold on to. I really do. I believe in what he's going to do this year, just based on forced opportunity and him really clearly being the best option as is. And I think Sky Moore is going to have a really tough time breaking into the target share between him and Travis Kelce, and then hopefully Clyde Edwards-Helaire, right? We hope he's going to improve this year.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm still waiting for it. I would like to see it. Don't know if we will. But no, I mean, I don't disagree with you, right? Like in my own rankings, I have Juju a little bit higher than Sky Moore. I think they're only 5 or 6 spots apart from me. But I would personally prefer Juju over Sky Moore. I just think in the trade market, I'd be able to get a little bit more from Sky Moore. Like, he was going in. I mean, there are some people's rookie rankings, and I'm sure they've changed by now. But I remember after he got drafted to Kansas City, like all over Twitter, people were having Sky Moore like only behind Drake London and Treylon Burks. Like they were putting him over Olave, putting him over Wilson, putting him over Jameson Williams. And that's the kind of cult following that there is with Sky Moore. There's going to be at least one of those guys in almost every single league. That's why he's my trade candidate, because I'm just going to find the guy that is abnormally high on Sky Moore and sell him. Because I do agree with you. I think it's going to take a little while for Sky to really bust out in that Kansas City offense. And I do think Juju, outside of Travis Kelce, is going to be the preferred target, at least for the first half of the season, right? Until maybe some of the other guys start to click. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't disagree with you. It's just my thought process behind the trade.
Yeah, I think Juju's just the one that I want to hold on my team. Just the upside of him possibly ending up being a long-term target for Patrick Mahomes and being a really good one at that is too much for me. And Monty, as good as I think he's going to be, I think it's going to be pretty easy to sell him over the course of the next couple weeks. It's going to be evident that he's going to be a weekly starter in your lineup. And I don't know. I just think that and also the shelf life really plays into it, right? I mean, Juju and Monty are the same age. I mean, Juju's obviously going to last longer, right? I mean, that's just how it is. So give me Juju. Yeah, definitely going to trade Monty and then cut Sky Moore.
All right, so I got one for you here, and it's 3 tight ends. And I mean, hopefully it's not too boring. I know you have at least something to say about 2 of these guys. I don't think I've ever heard you say anything about the third guy, but we'll see what happens. So keep trade cut with these tight ends: Cole Kmet, Mike Gesicki, and Dawson Knox.
Ooh. I think I'm probably gonna keep Dawson. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna keep Dawson Knox. Probably trade Cole Kmet and then get rid of Mike Gesicki. I've already seen Dawson Knox be a decent tight end. He's not a game changer, but he's kind of at the top range of that, second, third tier of tight ends, however you want to break it up. So yeah, I'm going to keep Dawson Knox. He's the proven one. Trade Cole Kmet because I think he's going to be easier to sell, and Mike Gesicki's about to get faded out of his offense. And for that reason, I'm also going to cut Mike Gesicki.
See, I agree with you on the cut, but I'm going to flip-flop the keeps and the trades. I'm going to keep Cole Kmet. I actually have Cole Kmet 1 spot higher than Dawson Knox in my Dynasty rankings. I know it's only 1 spot, but still worth mentioning. But since they are so close for me, I think even if Knox was 1 spot ahead of Cole Kmet, I probably would still keep Kmet and sell Knox, because I think you're just going to be able to get such a better return on Dawson Knox. Because to your point, he's proven it in recent years. By recent years, I mean last year. And Buffalo is the hottest offense in the entire league, arguably. And everybody wants a piece. I mean, there's a reason why Stephon Diggs is still going so high. There's a reason why Gabe Davis has broken out this offseason and everybody wants him. There's a reason why people are still going after Devin Singletary, drafting James Cook where they are. People just want a piece of this offense. People want someone that's going to be tied to Josh Allen for the foreseeable future. And I think Dawson Knox has a ton of upside, but the upside really only comes in the form of touchdowns. He's not going to take targets away from Diggs. He's not going to take targets away from Davis. You could argue he's probably not even going to take many targets away from Isaiah McKenzie or even the guys coming out of the backfield. I think Knox is purely one of those guys where you just need to bank on some really good red zone efficiency from him, because out of those guys that I just listed, he'll probably see less targets than their wide receiver 3, Isaiah McKenzie, this year. And I feel kind of confident saying that. So I think I'm going to take the perceived value behind Knox. I'm going to sell him. I'm going to hold on to Cole Kmet because obviously, I've talked about him before. I think he's going to have a big breakout year. You don't get 93 targets last year and have 0 touchdowns and then suddenly, not increase your touchdowns in the next year, right? 0 touchdowns on 93 targets. That might be I don't know if this is true, but that's probably the first time that's ever happened in NFL history. It's going to correct itself, right? So I think we're going to see a breakout year from Kmet. So we'll keep him. We'll sell Knox. And then to your point, not really a big Mike Gesicki guy. Like him enough, but not nearly as much as the other two. So he's going to get the axe.
Yeah, I think Dawson Knox and Cole Kmet will probably produce similarly for you, and I feel like there's probably not very much difference in the trade market. So I guess pick your poison on that one, right?
For sure, for sure. But I know you got some more for me, right?
Yeah. So this is another brain buster, another super flex one, right? So Lamar Jackson, Jonathan Taylor, or Najee Harris.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's a tough one, right?
Wow. Okay. Geez, dude. I'm gonna sell Lamar Jackson, and then I'm gonna keep Jonathan Taylor, and I'm gonna cut Najee Harris. Um, Reason for keeping Jonathan Taylor is he's Jonathan Taylor. I would take him over Lamar Jackson in my draft personally if I'm in a startup draft. Chances are, if that's the case, I'm probably picking somewhere between like 106 and 108. And I think if I'm on the board and I don't see one of my top 3, top 4 quarterbacks there, I probably would go with my number 1 running back, which is Jonathan Taylor. So I'm going to keep him. I think that him and Lamar Jackson would yield an extremely similar return. I cannot talk today. They would yield similar returns in the trade market. So I would sell Lamar Jackson for that reason. And then Najee Harris, obviously he's the odd man out here, but there's no world where I'm taking Najee over Lamar. And there's no world where I'm taking Najee over Jonathan Taylor. And I think a lot of people would agree with that statement. So unfortunately, Najee is going to be left out. It's really tough picking between Jonathan Taylor and Lamar Jackson. But, with Lamar Jackson's contract situation, with him having an injured/down year last year, we're really banking on a big comeback from him in the 2022 season for him to be worth drafting as a top 10 pick in startup drafts right now, right? So I think he'll do it. I really do. But I just I would rather have the guarantee thing with Jonathan Taylor on my squad. So keep JT, trade Lamar, cut Najee.
So I feel like for me, I mean, obviously Najee is the odd man out here. He's going to get cut because you're never going to get anywhere close in value or production to either one of these guys out of him, or in shelf life either, right? But yeah, I'm going to keep Lamar Jackson just because of the fact that, I mean, we know that when healthy, he's a top 5 quarterback. And the fact that he's got the potential to do that for another 10 years for your dynasty team, I can't really pass that up for a running back, even though he is a really good one. We've seen how quickly that decline comes once you become the workhorse and once you get it for a couple years. And I think that's going to be Indianapolis's plan going forward. And I mean, for that reason, and because he's not as good, we're cutting Najee Harris. And because I think we're getting similar return, and Lamar Jackson is just going to dominate fantasy every time he's healthy. And hopefully I'll be able to pick up, a half decent backup or whoever his, handcuff quarterback is, right? Really late in the draft. And yeah, I think easily trading Jonathan Taylor, and I'm going to keep Lamar Jackson.
Well, I knew that's what you were going to do because I've never seen you take a running back in the first round of a super flex mock or even a 1 QB mock, right? Like the only time I've seen you do that is when we did our redraft mock. Every other time you're going quarterback in super flex, you're going receiver in those 1 QBs. So I knew exactly what to expect from you.
Yeah, well, in redraft, it's different, right? I mean, you have to go for your running backs. You can't survive without them, right? And you're also most of the time you're not starting as many players as you are in a dynasty league, right? So yeah, give me the running backs for a 1-year contract, I guess. But long term value wise, a quarterback who's already shown he can be top 5. He's only 25 years old. Give me that guy every freaking time.
Well, I got a few more for you here today. And this one, we're going to go back to some running backs here. And it's kind of gross. I'm not going to lie to you. It's kind of gross. Damian Harris, Antonio Gibson, and Kenny Gainwell. Keep trade cut.
Um,
See, and it's really funny because if I asked this 1 month ago, anyone would think you were crazy for looping Gainwell into this discussion, right? But Ramondre Stevenson is broken out for New England in preseason. Antonio Gibson, he has obviously lost some work between Brian Robinson and JD McKissick. Could see an early season resurgence, right? But Brian Robinson's going to be back eventually. And then Miles Sanders has not even practiced at all. So Kenny Gainwell's kind of racing a sack. So I think the three of these guys could, I don't know if I would say they're on a level playing field, but I imagine they're pretty close. So what are your thoughts, Harris, Gibson, and Gainwell?
yeah, I feel like with the very unfortunate Brian Robinson news, I feel kind of weird factoring that into the decision. But I don't know, the community. I mean, Antonio Gibson's going to get an opportunity, and the same opportunity that he had last year, essentially, right? Where he was a decent running back, and there's always a place for those guys on someone's roster. So for the first couple of weeks, I think he's going to hold some value and be tradable. Um, so him I'm going to trade, and I think I just believe in Damian Harris more than I do Kenny Gainwell. Uh, just the Patriots offense and versus the Eagles offense, rather. And we've seen Patriots running backs. Anybody who gets the opportunity in that offense, whoever they pick that week, they have a productive week, and they're very efficient for your lineup, and they end up winning you a week or two. So I'm going to keep Damian Harris because I do think he's still going to be a part of this offense, and he's going to have a lot of startable weeks this year. You're gonna have to hope that you guess right, but I think it's gonna be a 50-50 Russian roulette type of thing with him, right? So I think you'll be able to hit on a decent amount of weeks with him as a decent RB2, and I don't really believe in Kenny Gainwell much, so that's the way I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I'm going to cut Kenny Gainwell too, but I'm going to flip flop. I'm going to keep Gibson and I'm going to trade Damian Harris. So I think I could get a little bit more out of Gibson in the trade market than I would with Damian Harris. But I'm a firm believer in Ramondre Stevenson, and I think Damian Harris, we're just going to cross our fingers and hope that he's going to be their goal line back this year. And he's going to need to see, he's not going to see 15 touchdowns again, but he's going to need to see 9 to 12 in order for him to really be worth anything, in my opinion. Where Antonio Gibson, he's going to have for at least the first half of the season, right? They say Brian Robinson can enter on the field again by week 5. That's not happening. To your point, this is weird news to like talk about, but he was shot in the butt and shot in the leg. Like, you don't just recover from that in 1 month and then go out and get tackled by 350-pound dudes. Like, it's going to take him more than the 4 weeks than they're saying. There's just no way, right? So I'm thinking that Antonio Gibson is going to hold a lot of value for the first half of the season. Could decline pretty quickly when Brian Robinson comes back, but that's yet to be seen. But I think Gibson is going to win me a lot more games than Damian Harris is going to. And I really don't think that I like I said, I think I will get more in the trade market for Gibson, but I don't think by very much. So I would keep Gibson, trade Harris, and then I would also axe Kenny Gainwell.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I believe in either's like long-term situation, right, with Damian Harris or Antonio Gibson, but I think I'd rather roll the dice on Harris, just because I mean we saw what he did last year when he did get those opportunities. I mean, I don't know, yeah, you can hope cross your fingers and hope for that week, right? And I think it'll happen a decent amount. I mean, they've always been a running back by committee, as many good running backs as they've had. So yeah, we'll hope for that, right?
Well, how many more you got for me today?
Just this last one, and I think I have a feeling I know where you're gonna go with it. Um, do I even want to ask you this? Let's see if I have it. Yeah, no, let's do this one instead. Tom Brady, Kareem Hunt, or a 2023 early second round pick.
Tom Brady, Kareem Hunt, or an early 23 second. Well, it really depends, right? If I'm contending and Tom Brady is an upgrade over one of my quarterbacks, which chances are he probably will be, right? Unless I have, Josh Allen and Joe Burrow on my roster, which I do in a 16-team superflex, pretty awesome. But there's not many scenarios that I can think of where you would just have your second quarterback be better than Tom Brady is for 2022. So if I'm legit contending and I think that's going to put me over, I probably would keep Tom Brady. and then I would trade the early 23 second, and I would cut Kareem Hunt. I think, you talked about Kareem Hunt in your bold takes for 2022, and you said that he could finish as an RB1. And we kind of looked into the numbers, and in PPR leagues, it really might not be very far off. But I think that that's not a very common feeling, right, for most people. So I don't think you'd get the return that you'd want for Kareem Hunt, where, to your point, you just got done saying how much the college kids absolutely balled out over the weekend. These 23 picks are just increasing in value. So I'm going to get some probably halfway decent return if it's a guaranteed early 23 second and the other guy knows that it's going to be an early 23 second. So I think there's just a ton of value to be had in there. So we'll keep Brady. We'll give away that second round pick, and then we'll cut Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. I think no matter on what roster, right? You're definitely going to get the most return out of the 2023 second round pick, trading that away. And to add another piece to your roster, if you're going to keep Tom Brady, Tom Brady is going to be an elite quarterback too this year. If you have one of those young studs, if you have a Justin Herbert, Mahomes, Josh Allen, any of them, and then Tom Brady's next, you have a pretty elite quarterback room, and you're going to have a really good advantage over everyone else in the league week in and week out this year, and possibly next year if Tom Brady plays. And I agree with you. There's not very much following on Kareem Hunt besides me, so he's probably going to get traded. And to be honest, in most cases, I would probably sell Kareem Hunt for an early 2023 second round pick, because I'm probably going to be able to find a decent RB2 in the early second round here next year. I think there's going to be a lot of quality guys that come out, and I mean we already saw what's happening this year, right? With Damian Pierce and guys like that, right? So there's going to be value to be had in the early second round next year for sure, and you're probably going to be able to replace Kareem Hunt that way.
Yeah, definitely. And as much as I would love to hold on to that early second round pick, right? There's no denying the return that it could potentially get you. So it's just one of those. I mean, any pick that you can guarantee someone is going to be a top 15 pick next year, it's going to be a hot commodity in some way, shape, or form, right? So really interesting to see how those picks are going to change value over the course of the season. Obviously, 2023 picks has been all anyone's talked about for the last year now. And somehow they're going to increase in value over the course of this season, right? Especially if the same top 6, top 7 guys that everyone's hyped about continue to play well in 2022. I mean, if you're trying to acquire 2023 first and second round rookie picks, it's already too late. You should have done it by now.
Yeah, right. And I mean, think about it. I mean, this time last year there were, maybe three guys that everyone was really excited about. This year there's 7, right? So
At least 7.
yeah, right now at this point, right, the season has just begun. So we'll see. You have any more today or no?
I do. I got one more for you. And I think it's going to make you sweat a little bit, because it's 3 guys that I've seen you start your draft with all 3 of these guys before. So I'm interested to see where we're going with this. I cherry picked this one to make you sweat a bit. So keep trade cut, super flex, obviously. Kyler Murray, CD Lamb, and Kyle Pitts.
Oof. Wow, you're gonna make me do it. I'm gonna keep Kyle Pitts. I just saw a video today. I can't remember who it was, but it was crazy stat. The only the only people who have started their career with 60 plus yards a game, 6 plus targets, stuff like that. And the only ones that were comparing to Kyle Pitts were like Justin Jefferson, Amari Cooper, Odell, guys like these guys. It's kind of crazy. So I'm gonna take Kyle Pitts there, and hope that regardless of the situation, he's gonna pan out. Um, I think that Kyler Murray consistently goes ahead of CeeDee Lamb in startup drafts, so you're almost undeniably going to get a little bit more for him, and you're going to make me cut my heart and soul. CeeDee Lamb, if I can get CeeDee Lamb plus any piece for Kyle Pitts, plus any decently significant piece like second round or greater, I'm probably going to take that in most cases, but Yeah, for right now, I'm gonna keep Kyle Pitts.
Well, you know what's super weird? I think Kyler Murray goes at least slightly before Kyle Pitts in a lot of startups, but I feel like you could get more in the trade market for Kyle Pitts than you will with Kyler Murray. Like Kyle Pitts is probably a top 5 most expensive player to acquire in all of Dynasty football right now. For that reason, I'm going to trade him. I'm not as high, I mean, I'm high on Kyle Pitts. Any sane person is high on Kyle Pitts, but I'm definitely not as high on him as the consensus is. I think like I refuse to put him over Mark Andrews in any of my rankings. I absolutely refuse to, and there's a lot of people that'll call me crazy for that. And that's okay because I'm going to say, okay, well, here, I'll trade you Kyle Pitts and you're going to give me a king's ransom. So for that reason, I'm going to trade him. I believe in him. I think he's going to be very good. I think he could have several seasons replicating what Mark Andrews did last year. But I just, I like the idea of the return I'd be able to get on him more than I like the idea of having him on my roster. So I'm going to sell him and then I'm going to do what you're doing. I'm going to cut CeeDee Lamb and then I would keep Kyler Murray. Out of all 3 of these guys, if I had to choose one, I would hold on to Kyle Pitts, right? Like in a real life situation, and I have all 3 of these guys on the board and I'm about to pick, I have swung my feelings and I think I would take Kyle Pitts over these guys. But it's just, I don't think Kyler Murray is the most consistent guy out there. And I don't want to spend my first round pick on that for my quarterback position. You know what I mean? But this case scenario, we'll keep Kyler because we need our QB1. Trade Pitts for a king's ransom. We'll release CD.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people aren't going out there and buying Kyler Murray because, I mean, at best, really, he's QB5, QB6. You know, at his ceiling, I feel like there's too many great guys above him. He doesn't really give you the greatest advantage. You know, he's a mid-range QB1 who gets drafted really high. You know, at cost, I would much rather prefer being at either the beginning of the draft or the end of the draft. So I end up with either like a combination of CeeDee Lamb and a quarterback or Kyle Pitts and a quarterback rather than ending up with Kyler Murray or one of those guys. So I'm with you, but I mean I think in 3, 4, 5 years, I think Kyle Pitts and Mark Andrews are going to be very much in the situation that Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews are in right now. I think it's going to be very comparable. And yeah, I think just getting ahead of the curve and getting Kyle Pitts. I mean, I guess it's really not ahead of the curve. You're right in the massive value that you're going to get out of him, right? Anybody who knows what they're talking about knows the kind of advantage they're going to get. He's going to be a tight end one day. One day he's going
to tight end one.
Yeah, the tight end one. That's what I meant to say. My bad. He's going to be the tight end one day, and there's not going to be much competition by the time he does that. I don't think there's many tight ends in the league that are at this point, at this timeline, that are going to be able to compete with him. Michael Mayer coming out this year might be the next one. He might be the one who stays in the top tier with him when Mark Andrews gets old and gray. But yeah, I'm taking Kyle Pitts, the longevity, just how young he is, the tremendous amount of upside that you're going to get. And I mean, if I can trade him for, like I said, CeeDee in a piece or Mark Andrews in a piece, I'm probably going to take that. But yeah, for now, I'm going to keep Kyle Pitts. That's a good one.
Yeah, I knew that one would make you sweat because I know, I know Kyler Murray's your top 5, top 6 quarterback in those rankings. Obviously, I know you love Kyle Pitts, and I had a feeling you would cut CeeDee Lamb, and that's kind of why I threw him in there. I just wanted to hear you say it out loud because I know it hurts you, and I like hurting you.
When you said that you had seen me take all 3 of the guys in the first round, I thought it was going to be a combination of CeeDee, Mark Andrews, and some quarterback.
Pretty close.
You replace Mark Andrews with Kyle Pitts. So I think either way would have ended up keeping the tight end, trading the quarterback, and ended up cutting the receiver.
Yeah. I had to watch you sweat that one out a little bit, but hey, you got through it. I'm proud of you. Couldn't have been easy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm good at thinking on my feet, but you're also, good at making things suck. So
it's what I'm here for, buddy. It's what I'm here for. Can't make it too easy on you. But you know what we can do? We can make it easy on everyone that's watching by helping you with those start and sit questions. So Tyler and I, the next video we're gonna do, it's gonna come out. We're gonna aim for our starts and sits to come out either every Wednesday or every Thursday. It'll probably flip flop between those two because I got a full time job. Tyler's got a full time job. So whatever day works for us, we'll get it out there. But in the meantime, whether it's in our Discord, which shout out to the Discord, join our Discord, or through comments, if you have any of those start sit questions that you want us to cover, we're more than happy to offer some of that advice in our start sit videos that we're going to be releasing. I mean, more than anything, it's going to be, we're each going to go through each position. We'll pick, 2 or 3 guys at each one, highlight their matchup, talk about why we're starting them or why we're sitting them. And that's kind of going to be the format that it has. But if you do have specific start sit questions, like if you're like, oh, should I start Austin Hooper or Tyler Higbee this week or something like that, put it in the comments. We're more than happy to give our input on that as well.
Yeah, definitely. And that'll be a good way to get you guys personalized advice pretty quick. So yeah, hop on, keep liking, keep commenting. And thank you guys for the support. Yeah, I think we just hit 60 subscribers, right? So that's pretty cool. Thank you guys for that a ton. And yeah, we'll catch you guys next time. Mikey, if you want to do the sign off, it's all you.
I have to. So for myself, for Tyler, and for that Dynasty show, we will see you next time when we are talking about week 1 football, baby.